The argument against straws is pretty simple. We consume tons of plastic. Not much of it gets recycled.
What are you listening to?
Most of it ends up in landfills and
Oh, you want to listen? Yeah, sure, I guess.
oceans. So why not try to reduce a little of that waste?
This is a podcast.
But like most...
Yeah, no, but doesn't it rock? Hey, what's up? How's it going? My name's Clayton Hamrick, and today I'm going to talk about why I stopped listening to music 2 years ago. So just a little backstory. A couple years ago, probably actually 3 or 4 years ago, I started working at a golf course, and the second summer I worked there, all I did all summer long for 8 hours a day was mow grass, so I was just sitting on a mower for 8 hours a day. So I've never really been a huge music guy. Like, I don't have a favorite band, I don't have a favorite song. I just listen to whatever's on. I'll listen to country, I'll listen to rock, I'll listen to whatever my friends are playing. So I've never really had a preference. But when I started mowing grass every day for 8 hours a day, I really started hating music almost, because I would listen to it on my headphones and I would get tired of it after like an hour or two. So I kind of had to figure out a different solution to this problem. So this is when I really heavily started listening to audiobooks. I would buy different business books, different fiction books. Hello?
Hey.
Hey.
What's up?
I was looking for 9-volt batteries, but I found one. So this is the point where I started listening to a lot of audiobooks. For example, I'll just pull up right here a couple of the first ones I started listening to. So that first summer that I started listening to audiobooks, I listened to Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. I listened to Ready Player One. I listened to Star Wars Bloodline. I started listening to Game of Thrones, but I never got through it because it's like, like 40 something hours long. I don't know. And I listened to a couple of the Harry Potter books on audiobook. And what I learned about myself, like originally, or in the past, I wasn't really able to listen to audiobooks. I wasn't able to focus. But since I was sitting there for 8 hours a day mowing grass and I needed something to do, I really started to actually be able to focus on the audiobooks, and I actually really started to enjoy audiobooks. So I also started listening to a couple of business audiobooks, one being Smarter, Faster, Better by Charles Duhigg, which I really recommend, by the way, if you haven't read or heard of it. But I started getting really interested more in nonfiction and how, like, it was really cool that I could be at my job working but still learning and pursuing kind of new ideas and new thinking. So one of the issues I ran into when I was listening to audiobooks is that I only got one book per month with my Audible subscription. So if I wanted to buy any more books, I would have to buy them, and they're a little bit expensive. So I started searching for a different way to kind of listen to something informative or listen to something entertaining, and that wasn't music. And so I started listening to a ton of podcasts. This first summer I listened to podcasts like This American Life and 99% Invisible and a few other of those kind of informative podcasts, and I really started to enjoy the audio experience it was giving me. Before this, I didn't really listen to podcasts or audiobooks at all. I would just listen to music because I would only listen to things in the car or maybe if I was going to the gym. But since I had to listen for long periods of time, I had to find something different. And it really opened my eyes up to what I could do with my time while I had just a little bit of time to listen to something. Like now in the car, when I'm driving to work every day, when I'm driving from work, when I'm driving to see my girlfriend, I'm always listening to either an audiobook or a podcast. And this is really cool because I feel like I'm always learning something and I'm always being productive. And I can't always find the time to sit down and read a book, but when I can listen to an audiobook for 30 minutes a day, it makes me feel like I'm actually getting something accomplished. I've started to notice recently, though, that it's been a little weird. Like, I'll find myself being a little bit stressed out because some of these audiobooks and some of these podcasts are kind of making me feel like I need to do more, like I need to work harder, which, yeah, I do, but at the same time, you know, you've got to have some room to relax. And so sometimes I feel like I just have to cut them off and maybe listen to some music. Or there's also some podcasts I listen to that are more comedy podcasts that are low pressure and are really just entertaining. So right now I'm just really trying to find a good balance between, you know, do I just keep listening to a ton of podcasts, or do I listen to audiobooks, or do I try to find some cool bands that I like and listen to music? I'm still not a music person in the sense that I don't have like a favorite band or a favorite artist, but I do enjoy when my girlfriend's in the car and we're listening to the music that she likes. So I'm trying to find a good balance between all of these things. So just for example, for some of the podcasts that I listen to, if you're interested, right now, my favorite podcasting app right now, or podcast app, is Google Podcasts. They finally came out with a podcast app. For the longest time, I had to use this crappy third-party app that was terrible, but finally Google has their own podcast app. And I've been listening to 99% Invisible, which is a design podcast, history podcast. It goes into a lot of things. I listen to a finance podcast called Listen Money Matters, which is really cool for kind of younger people that are kind of having to learn about finance when they're getting out of college or getting out of high school. I listen to a Tested podcast, which is actually still untitled, The Adam Savage Project. This is a podcast that is produced by Adam Savage. If you don't know who Adam Savage is, if you remember Mythbusters, then he was on Mythbusters. If you don't remember Mythbusters, then you're not a nerd like me, and you should go watch that show. I listen to the College Info Geek podcast. This is like a kind of productivity study habit podcast that's kind of motivating, and it teaches you really how to be productive in everyday life. And another podcast I've started listening to a lot recently is Entrepreneurs on Fire. It's put out by John Lee Dumas, and he does a daily podcast. He uploads every day, and it's tips on entrepreneurship, business, finance, a lot of different things, and he just brings really high energy, and it's really, really engaging and really fun to listen to. So basically what I want to say to you guys is that I encourage you to go out and find some podcasts about topics you're interested in, or even just entertaining podcasts. One podcast that is really funny is called Hello from the Magic Tavern. It's an improv podcast, and it's hilarious. It's a little crude, so if you're younger or if you don't like things that have crude humor, then you might not want to listen to it. But it's super funny and super entertaining, and you have a whole backlog of episodes that you can listen to. Some other really awesome podcasts that I've listened to, one was called Serial and the other one was called S-Town, and they're both these story-based serialized podcasts. And literally, if you've never listened to a podcast and you don't know if you'd be into them, listen to one of those, and I promise you it will captivate you, and you'll get into the story, and you'll love it, and you'll want to find more things like it, and you'll want to start listening to podcasts. And I just really think that we're moving into, or we've kind of been in a podcast age where we're able to be entertained but also learn at the same time, and really that's what I want to achieve in life, and that's what I want to strive for in life, is to always be learning, to at least every day or every week learn something new, and podcasts and audiobooks really give me the opportunity to do that. So yeah, I don't listen to that much music anymore. I've started to listen to a lot more of these what I call audio experiences, whether that be a podcast or audiobook, and I feel like it's really increased my productivity. And it's kind of got me in this mindset every day of do something, not necessarily do something hard or do something difficult, but just get something done, be creative, and make something. Because these guys are putting out these podcasts every week. They've created this thing for my entertainment, and it encourages me to make these YouTube videos and to write blog posts and to do certain things like that. So if you like these videos and you think you want to see more of my opinions and what I'm thinking and my ideas, then go down there and hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit the bell if you want to be notified of when I upload. You can also follow me on my other social platforms at Clayton Hamrick, both on Twitter and on Instagram. So let me know down in the comments below whether or not you like this type of video where I'm just sitting in front of the camera and talking about my ideas. I know that sometimes I tend to speak kind of fast, I tend to ramble on about things, but that's just how my ideas come out of my head. Or let me know if you would rather the videos be more scripted and more like based on lists or more structured, because I could also do that too. And I know this video is one day late, but I'm going to try really hard in the future to always hit that Wednesday mark. So until then, I'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Are you gonna be needing any supper around 8:30?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting me a large chili.
This is kind of how I like to get my ideas out of my head. I have to like push them out or they won't come.